Mindfulness Breathing by Venerable Rungruan Papa Saro, Dr. Rungruan Lim Chu Patapa. The practice of 4 mindfulness foundations is a standard insight observation. In addition, the Buddha also suggested an alternative practice of the 4 mindfulness foundation with the mindfulness breathing called an insight observation in the mindfulness breathing. Typically, after practicing the standard Buddhist practice, the mind will be familiar with the mindfulness development, and the mind is internally steadied and concentrated without difficulty. The Buddha modified a traditional breathing practice by incorporating the component of mindfulness of the 4 mindfulness foundation framework into it, so-called the mindfulness breathing. The mindfulness breathing consists of 16 steps as follows.
By performing the mindfulness breathing, we should do it as much as possible, and when it reaches to a sufficient level, then we can proceed on the 4 mindfulness foundations. Then by performing the 4 mindfulness foundations reaching at a sufficient level, then we can proceed on the 7 enlightenment factors. And by reaching the 7 enlightenment factors, then we can gain the wisdom of enlightenment. First step. When breathing in long, he knows, I am breathing in long. When breathing out long, he knows, I am breathing out long. Second step. When breathing in short, he knows, I am breathing in short. When breathing out short, he knows, I am breathing out short.
The first 2 steps of mindfulness breathing are very important, and most people may often overlook because of its simplicity. As a matter of fact, it is a practice of having a mindfulness to sense the arising object of consciousness on the breathing when being aware of the breathing in and breathing out, the having the mindfulness to detect the attribute of the breathing if it is long or short. And after being so skillful in detecting the breathing attribute, later on we will try to have a mindfulness on an arising object of consciousness on the body and the mind, and then detecting its various attributions of the associated mental factors.
Third step. He trains thus. Experiencing the entire body, I shall breathe in. He trains thus. Experiencing the entire body, I shall breathe out. Fourth step. He trains thus. Calming the bodily formation, then becoming body relaxation, I shall breathe in. He trains thus. Calming the bodily formation, body relaxation, I shall breathe out. Fifth step. He trains thus. Experiencing rapture, I shall breathe in. He trains thus. Experiencing rapture, I shall breathe out. Sixth step. He trains thus. Experiencing joy, I shall breathe in. He trains thus. Experiencing joy, I shall breathe out. Seventh step. He trains thus. Experiencing the volitional formations, I shall breathe in. He trains thus. Experiencing the volitional formations, I shall breathe out. Eighth step. He trains thus. Calming the volitional formation, mental relaxation, I shall breathe in. He trains thus. Calming the volitional formation, mental relaxation, I shall breathe out. Ninth step. He trains thus. Experiencing the mind, I shall breathe in. He trains thus. Experiencing the mind, I shall breathe out. 10th step. He trains thus. Gladdening the mind, I shall breathe in. He trains thus. Gladdening the mind, I shall breathe out. 11th step. He trains thus. Concentrating the mind, I shall breathe in. He trains thus. Concentrating the mind, I shall breathe out. 12th step. He trains thus. Liberating the mind, I shall breathe in. He trains thus. Liberating the mind, I shall breathe out. 13th step. He trains thus. Contemplating impermanence, I shall breathe in. He trains thus. Contemplating impermanence, I shall breathe out. 14th step. He trains thus. Contemplating fading away, I shall breathe in. Contemplating fading away, I shall breathe out. 15th step. He trains thus. Contemplating cessation, I shall breathe in. He trains thus. Contemplating cessation, I shall breathe out. 16th step. He trains thus. Contemplating relinquishment, I shall breathe in. He trains thus. Contemplating relinquishment, I shall breathe out.
The structure-wise of the 16 steps of mindfulness breathing is similar to the 4 mindfulness foundations, that is, the first set of 1 to 4 steps are the mindfulness observation on body, and the 5 to 8 steps are the mindfulness observation on feelings, similar to the practices of mindfulness meditation and mindfulness absorption, and the 9 to 12 steps are the mindfulness observation on mind, especially mental phenomena and mind processing, and then the 13 to 16 steps are the mindfulness observation on Dharma, nature, as a conclusion of the truths of life within nature. In principle, the 16 steps of mindfulness breathing is a technique to applying a mindfulness on experiencing both the entire body and the mind, then learning an insight to liberate the mind, respectively. That is, starting with learning on how to initiate a mindfulness by breathing in and out first. Then, once having a mindfulness, then applying on a breathing, we can aware of the breathing can be either in long or in short in steps 1 and 2. This is an experiencing of mindfulness in detecting on what is happening on the breathing. And by doing so, we can realize on the movement of body in breathing as well. Now let us apply the mindfulness to monitor on the entire body like the way we apply the mindfulness on breathing. We can realize that we can utilize the mindfulness to detect the status of the entire body in step 3 as well. And since when performing a mindfulness breathing, we are mostly in a comfortably resting position, therefore we can realize that the body is in calm position, so having a mindfulness to be aware of the calming the bodily formation in step 4. Typically, by having a success in utilizing a mindfulness to monitor the entire body, the mind will be in rapture, and becoming cheerful, respectively, then having a mindfulness experiencing rapture, and joy, respectively in steps 5 and step 6. After then we can realize that whatsoever is happening in the mind is simply a mental formation, and by doing so, the mind will be calm in the mental formation, respectively. In step 7, and step 8 of the mindfulness breathing are to have a mindfulness to experiencing this critical introspective learning that all thoughts, especially unwholesome matters within the mind, are just internal mental formations, and then if we can abandon them, then the mind will be calm and becoming peaceful. This is a very astonishing experiences, and encouraging us to explore into the entire mind in step 9 by having a mindfulness to experience the mind. The discovery of entire body and entire mind makes the mind become steadied internally, composed, unified, concentrated, and then the mind can eventually be liberated. Then after having a mindfulness to experience the gladdening and the concentration, and then achieving in the liberation of mind in step 10, step 11, and step 12, respectively. Finally, we can contemplate that each mental phenomenon is impermanence in a repeated pattern of whatsoever arises, then fading away, and then finally ceasing. Then by having a mindfulness to experience such the truths of life within nature in step 13, step 14, and step 15, respectively. And this is a way to relinquish the mind from all kinds of problems in the world, which is a summary of the study of the mindfulness breathing as experiencing the contemplation in the step 16.